So now that we've understood how personalization and memory works, we're going to move on into privacy. Uh, Before we talk about privacy, there's some other personalization things that I thought it would be useful to call out. So when we go to personalization again, we've already set up the customer instructions and all that. There are some other things that you can set, and by default, some of these are already set for you. So when it comes to base, style, and tone, you have the option to choose what specific style you want. So when you set it to professional, friendly, it depends on your context. But in our case, let's say we want to make sure that it means we're always going to be using ChatGPT for professional setting. Then I'll go to professional. And when it comes to characteristics, choose additional customization on top of your base. How do I want to sound? I want to sound more friendlier, or I want to sound less professional. I want to have a balance. Maybe I want to sound more personal. I want to sound more friendlier or less more professional and factual. Let's go with this. Let's just go with this for the demo purposes. When it comes to enthusiastic, where it feels more, it likes to be more excited and all that. We don't want that. We want it to be more straightforward and headers and lists. Whenever it gives you, you can see from the background, you see all the bullets and all that. How we want it to always be doing that, we want to either want something that's more clear and has a lot of formatting and lists, uh, or we want a balance, or we want less of that and we want more paragraphs instead of lists. I think I'll leave this as a default so it can balance it out because I like to easily read and pick out what I need to pick out. So I'll leave that at default. And back in the days when ChatGPT really came, whenever whatever you do, it was always going to be giving you emoji responses. It would have smileys, it would have books and all that. You have the option to set all that there. So at the moment, using it as a balanced, it would decide whether it needs to use it or not. But let's say we don't want to use any emoji. So it was really a pain at the beginning when we started using ChatGPT, where we would get the outputs and then we had to copy it into Word and we made sure that we delete all the emojis and all that because you want to use this in a professional setting. Now, when it comes to privacy, what we want to just highlight when it comes to privacy and security, particularly how your data is kept, what we want to highlight here is this setting called data controls. So over here, you have how you want to manage data inside of ChatGPT. Now, the very big one that decides whether whatever you put into ChatGPT or whether you want that to be used to be trained on using ChatGPT's resources or not, that's where this is. So we have this option called improve the model for everyone. By default, if you're a free user or if you sign up from scratch, by default, this is always turned on. By this turned on, what that means is you are agreeing to OpenAI or ChatGPT to learn from your chat conversations. So whatever you do on ChatGPT is going to be used to improve the model for everyone. So they're training on your data. Now, ideally, you want to have that turned off so that you're not contributing to that with your own data. Because even though you're going to be making sure that you don't have sensitive information in there and all that, but then at the end of the day, you as a human resource, your value input is all in there. Your thinking process, and what makes you valuable to a company is all going to be in there, and they're going to use that to train a model. So it's up to you to decide whether you want that or not. So this is a key thing to turn off if you're ever going to be using ChatGPT for any corporate work, because you don't want your processes and your line of thinking or how you do business, even though you've redacted a lot of things that are not supposed to be in there. But again, someone can put two and two together and understand that, okay, so this is how this company works. So you want to turn that off. And it's turned off now. And then these also are other things that they might want to use. So if you turn this on, it means whenever you use dictation, it pays attention to how you talk and all that, and also that is used to train the voice models. So that's a key thing to highlight for this whole course and the whole gray area whereby corporate entities are not allowed some people don't want ChatGPT to be used in the workplace because they think it's not safe and the data isn't public and all that. But this is how far, this is one of the things that they have put in place to allow you to have that mandate to whether to agree or not, to have that, to train their resources on your data. So you turn that off. So that's done. And the other things you want, but it's really up to your choice. It's more of an enhanced personalization feature. So when you turn on location, that it means, for instance, I'm in the European Union, and if I turn this on, it means it would know where I'm chatting from, and all the responses I'll be getting will be geared towards my local. It wouldn't be general. Like, it wouldn't be assuming I'm in the US or whatever. That's more like what you need from this feature if you turn it on. It's up to you to decide. And when it comes to these other things, when you have a lot of chats there that you want to manage and you archive all of them, this is where they all come. You have the option to also delete all your data, all your chats. And that's what I would like to highlight when it comes to data controls. However, in addition to these data controls, let's also talk about responsible use of AI, which is also part of this sub lesson. So I am just going to come out of this and we'll go back to our canvas. So when it comes to using ChatGPT for work, you always need to bear in mind that AI needs to be used in a responsible way, in a way that whenever you're inputting your text prompts, always make sure that you're using better inputs. Like, you're anonymizing information, you're using just rough notes, sketchy notes, and it's up to the model to figure out what you're trying to do. And you're using a lot of non-sensitive drafts, and use generic workplace scenarios. Don't be so up to date, or don't be so up to nitty gritty of giving it information. You can generalize it and then get it to use its own thinking capacity to be able to help you with whatever you're trying to achieve. And try to be using operational summaries and all that. So, an example, for instance, when we talk about anonymized information, you're not literally typing in the person's name, say John Smith from finance submitted medical leave details. You can just anonymize it, like employee number A, employee B submitted a leave request, or this customer report is. I don't need to specifically call out what this customer is, something like that. And when it comes to rough notes, you just 3-4 words, phrases, things just to give it clues or cues on what you're trying to achieve. Rough notes. And things to do with non-sensitive drafts, you can just be more generic, like just draft a customer apology. I don't need it to be draft customer A, B, C, D and mention specifics or all that and say draft an apology. Use non-sensitive drafts. And generic workplace scenarios, like employees running late repeatedly. I'm not going to be calling out names to say this person is, you want to have the habit of having a way to interact with the model that you're not really giving a lot away, but you're giving it what it needs to help you ascertain whatever you want to get. And these are some of the examples of operational summaries, like get me 14 tickets closed this week and CSAT has improved. Onboarding has been completed for 2 staff and all that. And maybe I want to be able to put all this into a single page executive summary report to submit to management so they know where we are at. That's enough for me to just waffle some paragraphs together to create a report and submit. I'm not going to be giving you a lot of details in what specific tickets were closed, and then the model is going to get to know what problems our company had for a specific period. So yeah, that's the key thing to double check on whenever you're using AI or ChatGPT in the workplace. And you should always avoid sharing sensitive data like passwords, personal information, payroll data, HR records, confidential client information, things that can make or break someone's success. You don't want to be exposing that to the model. So yeah, that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll look at how all of these transforms into like a reusable workflow, what I call the AI workflow, what modern professionals use as a workflow in their day-to-day activities. So I'll just look at that from a template perspective, and then that would be the parameters set for us to go deeper into this course to actually start tackling some more practical and hands-on using of AI in our day-to-day work.